Leary is responsible for, we did a segment on her. She's responsible for the post traumatic slave syndrome concept. And I think soon it will be in the DMV4, DMV5. I think it's still DMV, Domestic Manual for I forget the V stands for, but when I was in college and when I was um, practicing some of my psych talents, I used to work for a group of people in New Rochelle, and I would do psychotherapy for students and people in their own homes. I would travel to their homes, and I would do strategies and different tactics to bring kids from, help them emerge from some of the psychological problems that they were going through, I should say. So, civil rights has been very close to me. Dr. Joy Leary is a psychologist, and which was my major in psychology and education, and she talks about post traumatic slave syndrome. And this concept she has promoted, discussed, lectured on for the last 10 to 15 years. Hopefully, as I was going to mention before, that they incorporate this into the DSM 4, which is a diagnostic manual that helps treat patients. Most psychologists and psychiatrists use this DMV 4 to make prescriptions for remedies or for maladaptation that people might be going through. So the DSM-4 has not got it, but I'm sure it'll be there soon. Because what she offers as a remedy, a rationale, solution to many of the things she's found under post-traumatic slave syndrome should be entered into the DSM-4. But listen to what she says. Now, as I mentioned today, a lot of what I'm going to do is going to be going from my phone, things I have recorded that I wasn't able to bring to you personally through this wonderful medium that we have called the internet. Because unfortunately, folks, I'm not that, how would I say it, expert as the kids are. But I'm learning and I'm going to be doing classes so I can integrate this stuff into you. The other problem I'm having is my type of computer that I've decided to purchase to do these programs and these broadcasts are not really compatible to do bring the different various social media types videos and stuff onto my screen. But nonetheless, I'm going to find a way to get it to my folks. So I want you to listen to Dr. Joy Degree. This is going to take a couple of seconds. And tell me your thoughts. What do you think about this? Listen up.
Large segment of my generation
Mine too.
bought the lie. We put our children in harm's way when we did because they believed it too. And this that's happening and this that's coming, they have no clue as to how to deal with this, how to navigate it. Who's going to tell them? Who's going to explain to them why it's happening now? Because you see, if they knew their history, this would not be a surprise to them. But I do know for sure, if my ancestors endured people grabbing your wife out of the bed and maybe your 6-year-old to trade around that night with whoever was there, when they sold, beat, raped, tortured, and killed us for hundreds of years, are you telling me we can't do this? No, there's not a cell in my body that believes that.
And what she's talking about doing this is managing the madness that is going around us in this country called America. I watch social media all day, mainly for my folks here who want to listen to me broadcast. And if there's one thing, they still don't care about us. I don't care what facet of how progressive, left wing they are. We are still left out of the picture. Civil rights was a lie. Yeah, I'm saying it, and I'm a child of civil rights. I was out there. I did it all. Got locked up, beat up, did it all. But now I'm starting to see that it was a lie. Why? Why do, Professor Hicks, do you say that? Because, like Dr. Joy DeGris said, we are not prepared. We were so busy trying to be equal to them. We were so busy trying to desegregate the school buses and the schools and the buses and the institutions that we forgot about who we were. We didn't look back on our history. That's why I say, as Dr. Who was it? The who well wasn't I'm going to say who the author was, who characterized the phrase social amnesia. We as African people suffer from social amnesia. And then we suffer from historical amnesia. Because if we knew who we were as a people, we would have been further along than we are now. We would understand expertly what is happening today with the Trump administration and these Eurasian murderers. We would understand the treatment. We would understand the oppression, the murdering of our kids, snatching of our kids. We would understand why that is happening. But we don't study history. We don't want to read. So as a result, we are going to suffer. But if we knew our history, like Dr. DeGruy says, we would be able to manage most of what. You can't get it all. There's too much coming at you at one time. But you can manage some of it. But no, we're going to wind up being, like we always are, the victims of our own history because we don't pay attention. Civil rights was a lie. Integration destroyed many black schools. My mother told me about her. She went to all black school in Georgia. And when they integrated the schools, she had to now deal with white teachers who cared nothing about her, didn't care anything about the kids and their social conditions. What do we get from integration? Look at a great example is the black baseball leagues. Some of the greatest games you ever want, and they knew where the best ball players were. So finally they decide to let Jackie Robinson in, right? And begin to take Cool Papa Bell and all the greats and bring them into the major leagues. What do you think happened to those African leagues, those people who would spend their Sundays and Saturdays in their local, very dilapidated stadiums? What do you think happened to those teams? They were destroyed. That was by design, much like the civil rights movement. It did not help us, folks. And finally, the laws. You see, you can't use laws to regulate behavior, particularly in this country when one word means 15 different meanings. As quickly as they make the laws, look how quickly they're erasing them. They gutted to fit Article 5 of the Voting Rights Act already. It's done. And they're trying to take away the vote, period. Why? How? Because it's laws that can be changed. That's not advancement. Those are not rights that can be taken away at any moment that they decide to say we had enough. But that's what's happening, folks. Civil rights killed us. They lied. Let's move on. So I'm sure that many of you have heard about the woman Nancy Guthrie. Yeah? Yes, it's been all over the papers. It's been all over the news media. It's been everywhere. Well, she's missing and disappeared. Obviously, she had some sort of very prominent program on TV or was a celebrity, and she's gone missing. And it's everywhere that you can look. But I bet you never heard of Monica Jenkins, did you? Well, only thing I can say, which is a good thing to say, is that she was found today. But she's been missing as long as Nancy Guthrie was missing. Not a word. Nothing on social media. Nothing on the major, the what I call the state regime, Nazi media, state regime. When you're watching that television and those news folks get away, it's telling you nothing. Oh, a dog today was ran over in Poughkeepsie. Yes, and the owner was right there, and it just looked horrible. And look at her response. Hi, Miss Owner. What happened to little Pitsy Doggy today? That's what news is today, folks. No joke. I was telling my wife the other day exactly, and as soon as we turned our head, there was I forgot what they call these types of segments in news, but I think human interest. And they were doing, it's insane. But Monica Jenkins was missing at the same time, and none of you knew. Well, I'm so happy to report, as I did the research on her, that they found her, and she's safe. 10 years old, and she's safe. But think about the message. They don't care about us. I don't care how many crimes Trump commits, how egregious the crimes. The same game is still being played, folks, by the regime media, the large mass media, as well as social platforms. And I still, as I peruse some of the black social platforms, did not see anyone mentioning her name. And finally, how about Keith Porter? How about Keith Porter? Yes, Keith Porter was also murdered by an ICE agent. And I've mentioned him many times, but if you don't know, Keith Porter was killed in his community while celebrating on January 1st, the New Year's. He was shooting his gun up into the air, celebrating, as his family reports. And some ICE agent who lived in the community took it upon himself to say, you know what, I hear something, let me respond, and shot Keith Porter to death. All reports indicate that there was no aggression towards the ICE officer. All reports indicate that the man was a good person, celebrating this time of renewal, the new year, and was murdered. From what I understand, I tried to get some of the information before we went on. One of the lawyers, one of our great lawyers, is on the case and trying to get the LA district attorney and the police department to review this. He has not had very much success, so they're about to take a suit and sue somebody. And I didn't get in. I forgive me for not getting into the whole thing. I thought I might have kept some information on it, and I don't think I am. But again, I'm not a news reporter. I'm just giving you information that I think is important for the community. But Keith Porter, say his name, was shot by an ICE agent, and it still has no recourse yet, but the family is working on it. One of our famous lawyers, let me see if I have his name off the top of my head. No, I don't, but you know him. He takes all the major cases. He's on the case, and he's going to try to find some justice for Keith Porter Jr. All right? All right. Very good. Another something that's going on is really important is, I talked about it the other day, God. Tucker Carlson, and you know him from Fox News, is now an anti-Trump guy. Yeah, now he's turned. And the other day he had a person on, or he was recording a person, I think it was one of our senators, making remarks about Christianity. Now, when you hear Europeans, white folks, talk about religion and Christianity, you got to be afraid. You got to become very afraid, because there's one thing. If there's one thing that white folks are not good at, and that is God. All right. Let me go back to Keith Porter, because I did find some. So let me just read you a little bit about Keith Porter, okay? I'm sorry to jump back and forth. All right. Lawyers for the family of Keith Porter Jr. held a news conference Tuesday, calling on the California Attorney General to handle the investigation to his killing. Now, don't forget, California, we have the Governor Newsom, the liberal, progressive governor who's going to champion us past Trump and take the presidency next year and kissing all the babies. This is his state. He hasn't said one thing about Keith Porter Jr. Folks, we have no friends. Dr. Clark said that many years ago. We have no friends, folks. It's lonely, but you better look in the mirror. Nobody wants to be black. Nobody wants to be us. And nobody wants anything to do with us. We have to learn to love ourselves by hook or by crook. Let me finish. And again, I'm jumping and don't mean to go back. Porter was shot by an off-duty ICE agent on New Year's Eve. Federal authorities said the agent was responding to an active shooter. Porter's relatives have said he was shooting a gun into the air, not threatening anyone. Lawyers for Porter's family say witnesses have come forward alleging Porter was walking back to his apartment when he was shot. Now I'm going to take a little response. I'm going to take a little. Well, I'm not going to describe what I'm going to do. I bet he was shot in the back, but we ain't going to go there yet, because there's one thing about these white police officers: they are afraid of us. They kill us because they're in fear of us. I guarantee he was in the back, but we're not going to go there yet because we don't know. Attorneys for Los Angeles man shot and killed by an off-duty federal agent on New Year's Eve are asking California Attorney General to take over the case, alleging recent comments by LAPD Jim McDonnell shows a bias toward the Trump administration. In a Tuesday news conference, attorneys, and this is the guy I'm talking about, I think many of you are going to know his name when I say it, Attorney Ben Crump and Jamal Toussaint called on Attorney General Rob Bonta to investigate the fatal shooting of Keith Porter Jr. in California. So that's the update. Nothing is being done. As you watch the world go crazy, particularly the white media go crazy over these incidents, the horrible incidents that Trump and his guys were involved in, stay grounded, folks. Think African. This is a time where the focus is not on us. This is a time for learning and moving forward while we are not under their microscope right now. You have to be active. You have to read. You have to get out there for your folk. Start with your own family. One of the first things we need to do with our family is start educating them on your African history. I have my granddaughter grounded already. She's going to know more as she gets older. You must do the same. That's how you effectuate the future. All right. Keith Porter, Ashe. So Tucker Carlson from Five was on the other day, and he's really upset at these MAGA people, you know. Some of the things he's doing, and he's crazy. But, you know, again, we're going to get these white Christians who are so holy. You know, these are very people that are backing Bush. They backed him. They backed him too. But these are Trump's die-hard supporters. Now, can you imagine these Christians supporting this man as he not only destroys people's lives, but white people and Christians as well? But see, the sickness of the Eurasian is that what we have, they have lost. And that pathology for them is lack of empathy, which becomes a pathology. I don't want to go into the long history of that. For us, it's our jewel, our humanity. They have none. And I don't mean all of them, of course, but those who displayed in the majority that have handled with us, that have managed, we know, particularly when we use evidence as slavery and all the other unfortunate violence and aggression that they've been a part of. They summon God. And this guy, who's you're about to hear, is actually going to use God to punish a people who don't agree with him. So listen up.
This crap. Israel is our friend. They're the most reliable friend we have in the Mideast.
This is Lindsey Graham, the Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Listen.
People who would cut their throats if they could.
Listen to this.
This is not a hard choice if you're an American. It's not a hard choice if you're a Christian. A word of warning. If America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us.
God will kill you if you don't support.
This is
Bibi
Tucker now.
Netanyahu.
He's criticizing him.
That's what he's saying. And there
Some
are
guy he
cheers,
loved for
unfortunately,
many, many
cheers when he
years.
said that God will kill you. He will pull the plug on you like a quadriplegic in intensive care. You're going to flatline unless you support the secular abortion-on-demand government of Israel. That's the Christian perspective,
Abortion-on-demand
really.
government.
That God loves some people more because of their DNA, that is not the Christian message. That's the opposite of the Christian message. The Christian message is universal. That's the whole point of it. The chosen people in Christianity are those who choose Jesus. The entire New Testament is that story. And anyone who says otherwise has not read it.
What if I happen to be Islamic? And though I do understand and believe in Jesus as per the Quran, I am not a part of the chosen group? Huh? Am I not part? Oh, let's listen.
Or is lying. God does not prefer you because of your DNA or anyone else because of their DNA. Period. So the fact that people can stand up in the United States in 2025 and say something like that, and by the way, not even make the case, just invoke the power of God as a weapon. He will kill you. He'll pull the plug on your country unless you go along with this.
Jesus-loving Christian
Listen to yourself.
evangelist.
And it's not just Lindsey Graham. It's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It's a lot of people, some of whom are very nice people. People have dinner with them. They seem perfectly normal. But this is a heresy, and it's deranged. And you know it's deranged because it is a justification for killing the innocent. And in Christianity, if there's one thing that's crystal clear, it's that Christians cannot abide the killing of the innocent. People who have done nothing wrong cannot be killed. That's a sin. You are not allowed to do that, period. And if you find anyone leveraging the message of Jesus to justify the killing of innocents, that person is committing heresy.
You know, when the Crusaders went into Asia in 1066, and the first thing they did when they crossed over, and remember the Crusades, I'm sorry, I didn't say, these are the Christians, supporters of Christians, zealots. The first thing they did when they got to Jerusalem was slaughter every Arab man, woman, and child in the name of God. And the slogan that they use, God wills it. And they murdered hundreds of people. You worried about what Trump and what's going on Epstein's Island with children? I think I've already mentioned to you that you need to go onto any type of chat, whatever you want to call it, and type in the Children's Crusade. See not only who they used, see how they used them, and see the conclusion. What happened to those poor children? These are European children, by the way. Once you read that story, like he says, if you still you're sitting around listening to this garbage, listen, folks, I love all religions, respect them all. The truth, the ones that are telling the truth. We own Christianity. Black people created Christianity in Africa, Ethiopia. That's where it was born. And then, like many things the Europeans do, remember what? Influence and expand and extract. And when they went into, finally when they got into there, they took our message and our story and turned it into theirs. Took out all the Gnostic readings of Jesus Christ, stopped talking about his brother and his mother, left those in something called the Gnostic Testaments. You can read it. They took about 15 books out of the Bible, converted them, corrupted them into what they wanted you to believe. Christianity, Europeans, it's like water and oil. And they're still trying to make it mix. Beware. All right. And finally, you should know particularly all you minorities out there. Yeah. Yeah, I know when I grew up, they called me a minority. Yeah, it took me a while to understand and to, educate myself as to why I'm not a minority. Okay, but in this country, we were minorities. Well, let me tell you the real truth. We have never, ever been a minority anywhere. In the 17th century in South Carolina, there were more black folks than white folks. There were more black folks than any folk. Okay? And that's why South Carolina has always been one of the most racist states in our union. Because the conditions that they put themselves into, meaning bringing in more blacks than there were whites, they are probably the brunt of most slave rebellions, because those brothers don't believe the lie. They rebelled at every instance. They poisoned, they rebelled, they listen, you have to read the stories like I did and get to understand we always fought back, but we were no minorities. So let me give you the person. If you look at Europe, Europe has the smallest population comparative to any other group of people on the planet. You want to go to the Chinese? Well, you don't even have to go there, because I know most of you know. You want to go to the Asians and you want to talk about the Koreans and the Japanese? Always more. The Africans, the Indians. Imagine all of those countries surrounding this little thing called Europe. They even altered the map so it could look making Europe. I was teaching school and teaching this map that looked Europe looking bigger than Africa, or the USSR making it look bigger than China. All those countries I just mentioned can go and fit into Africa geographically. It's been done. You are not a minority. They are and have always been. And guess what's happening now? They're shrinking even more, because the white birth rate in Europe is declining very fast. The demographics of white decline is a decrease in white populace numerically or as a percentage of the total population in a city, a state, a sub-region, or a nation, and that includes ours. Within 30 to 40 years, white people will be the minority. They are not just yet, but they are quickly moving in that direction. It has been recorded in a number of countries and smallest jurisdictions. For example, according to the national consensus, white Americans, white Canadians, white Latin Americans, and white Britons are a demographic decline in the United States. All right, for you Latinos who want to be white, let me say that again, white Latin Americans. Yes, you're declining with them. You want to join them? Jump on the boat. The white Americans, white Canadians, white Latin Americans, white Britons are all in a demographic decline in the United States, in Canada, in Latin America, and the United Kingdom, respectively. White demographic decline can also be observed in other countries, including Australia, thank God, New Zealand, South Africa, Spain, Italy, France, and Zimbabwe. Yes, there are white people in Zimbabwe. Now, these are easy stats to get. Just go online and type it in. They are shrinking incredibly fast. This is why many of the politicians in the UK are inviting these Africans into their country, because without them, their population will going to be depleted within 20 years. If that happens, who's going to work and bring in the money? Remember, these politicians don't spend their own money. They use their taxes, the taxes from you and me, in order to propagate their wars, their famines, the oppression they spread around the world, expansion and extraction. Yes, and they are declining. They are going to be, within 50 years, in Europe, particularly in Italy, by the way, these people are shrinking, and shrinking quickly. Now, they're giving all kind of reasons for it, trying to control birth. I get it. They're talking about smaller families. I get it. But Let me tell you, folks, I'm going to leave you with one word. And again, do the research. It's called reproduction. Something that they don't do very well for a very long time. And that is why, the major reason why, they have a small population historically. They don't reproduce as we do. But they don't want you around. Now, last thought on this. Another thing they tried to do is bring the Latin American community against the black community through the census. So how many times for people who live in New York have heard, oh, the Latinos, Hispanics, their population is growing and outpacing all other groups in the United States and particularly in New York, and they're the largest demographic group. That's a lie. First of all, if you know anything about census and its census takers, they rarely get to half the neighborhoods they're supposed to. You go into the South Bronx, and you see a lot of Latinos, of course, but you see just as many black people. And the only distinction you find is that they speak a language that allows them to cohese together. So you see them in their groups, which makes them look larger. African Americans, we come in all colors. Just like I watched the baseball game last summer, and they're talking about the Latin Americans taking over. I want you to do this next time you're watching a baseball game. I want you to tell me how many of those Latin American speaking brothers are white. All the great stars are dark, black-skinned brothers. And I do first of all, I never call them Hispanic or Latino. I'm kind of moving away from, because to me, they're just black people who speak Spanish. That's all. Black people who know how to swim. That's a joke I heard from one of the great comedians. That's all. But to keep us divided and to keep them thinking that they are better than us, they make them feel like they're superior because they have large numbers. It's a lie. It's a lie. We produce just as quickly, just as efficiently, and just as much. Okay? Don't let them fool you. New York City is full of blacks and Latinos. And most of them who are Latino are dark-skinned people. Yeah, I know they don't want to be, but that's their problem. Because there's a change coming. And there's going to be a time when we will regain our position in the world. And hopefully some of these Latinos are still on board with us. Not hopefully. Hopefully if they are. If not, we don't care. You know, Venezuela is one of the only Latin American countries that has something that the world wants. But let me tell you what Africa has. Africa has everything. We don't need none of you. Once we get Africa walking around again and walking on its 2 feet like they're moving in the right direction, okay, fine. You want to be white, be white. But you should know, and we'll leave you with this last statistics. It has been projected that Africa is the next major economy and the next major force in the world. Yes, militarily, economically, and socially. Look it up. I'll give you a little something just to go with, just to say bye-bye with. Mali has just received a nuclear plant from Russia in their country. I don't see a nuclear plant in Puerto Rico. I don't see one in the Dominican Republic. I don't see one in Venezuela. I don't see one in Bolivia. I don't see one in Mexico. Why? Because everything you need to survive in the world is in one place. And that's why they want it so bad. And that's Africa. We have everything. Gold, diamonds, oil, minerals, agriculture. The best engineers in the world are African. Check it out. I don't want you to believe anything I say, like Dr. Kaba says, Professor Kaba. Don't believe a word I say. Go check it out. We don't need nobody, folks, if we just get this right. They want to be white, let them. Go ahead. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep your mind on the prize. Stay black. Stay black and stay focused. And with that, I'm going to say, Ashe. And have a great, wonderful